I used to say this, 100-mile race is like living a whole lifetime in a day, and 100 miles is 100 years. And I used to say like this, you better feel good at 50 if you want to make it to 100.
Howdy, dragi tekači in tekačice, dobrodošli, to je že 11. epizoda podcasta Zagret za tek. Jaz sem vaš gostitelj Marko Roblek in poženimo se v veseli december. Ja, mesec je v polnem razcvetu, čeprav občutek morda res ni tak. Vreme je tudi tako, da človeka res ne vleče ven, kaj še, da bi šel teč, ampak kljub temu nekateri pogumno in neumorno vztrajate, štepate svoje kilometre in virtualne maratone in nam vsem ostalim nabijate slabo vest, kar tako naprej, bravo, konc koncev zaleže tudi motivacija v obliki fovšarije. Danes spet gostim izjemnega gosta, enega mojih bosonogih idolov in najbrž se navdušenje iz mojega glasu že malo sliši zgodba, seveda kako sem ga ta podcast dobil je kajpak zanimiva kot gost sam. Zadnjič sem se namreč, ko sem zaključil Karnazesa, pogovarjal s Klemenom, pa mi on reče, super je bilo, nujno moraš narediti še kakšnega podobnega. In jaz rečem, Klemen, tole sploh ni bil hec, super je bilo, ampak daj mi malo časa, da zadiham, pa on nazaj pribije z prve, ne, tega boš narediti takoj. Tega boš hotel narediti takoj. In jaz malo neverno pogledam, jasno, pa rečem, ajde, zdaj pa da slišim, s čim me lahko prepričaš. In potem mi pomiga s tole knjigico, in jaz sem bil pečen, jasno. Prihaja nihče drug kot Barefoot Ted, tako da sezujte se, pomigajte s prsti, prepravite svoje sandalčke, če jih imate, ogrejte se, to bo vroče. Klemen, dude, hvala ti. Rojeni za tek ste brali, kaj pa vsi sklepam, vseeno spodobi se in pravično je, da je knjiga tedna Rojeni za tek, izjemna knjiga Christopherja McDougalla, ki je leta 2009 vrgla tekaški svet s tečajev. Sezula je tek do fundamenta in za tek kot tak navdušila na tisoče, dajmo reči raje, kar milijone tekačev v vsem svetu. Če vas je vsaj malo zanimalo, zakaj ljudje tako radi tečemo, zakaj pri najbolj naravnem človeku in gibanju tako pogosto dobimo razne poškodbe in kaj je zdravilo za vse vaše tekaške tegobe, od fizičnih do psiholoških, tole je knjiga za vas. Če bi torej med vso tekaško literaturo na svetu mogel izbrati pač samo eno knjigo, bi seveda izbral tole bukico. Rojeni za tek Born to Run je knjiga, ki je spisana kot pustolovski roman, ki se dogaja med ljudmi tekači, med mehiškimi tarahumarami, prvi vrsti, postreže pa z nekaj neverjetnimi usporednimi zgodbami, s twisti, z lekcijami in to je samo še dodatni privlak, da pač more biti obvezni del vaše tekaške knjižnice. Tako da, če jo po kakšnem naključju res še nimate, spodaj link, za nekaj evrov si jo lahko naročite in jo imate že pred božičem v vaših rokah in v vaši knjižnici. Ko smo že pri knjigah, hvala za vsa naročila knjige Zagret za tek, in seveda za vse donacije, odlični ste, super, ta teden posebna zahvala, Darji in Urošu, hvala vama, moj poklon, super sta. Priporočam se tudi za delitve posameznih epizod, pa seveda vabljeni, da se naročite na kanal na YouTubeu, na iTunesu, na Google podcastu, Spotify, še kje, razširimo glas, naredimo to oddajo še boljšo. No, ko sem ta teden raziskoval, kaj novega, ki je v tekaški znanosti, sem naletel na zanimiv članek o genetiki. In sicer ta govori o tem, v kakšni meri naši geni določajo, ali bomo uspešni atleti ali ne. Študija je bila objavljena pred kratkim, še letos, primerjala pa je 5 vrhunskih atletov steze, se pravi nekaj šprinterjev, nekaj dolgoprogašev, med njimi tudi olimpijski medalisti, z 500 običajnimi smrtniki. Se pravi, genotip vrhunskih atletov so primerjali z genotipom običajnih ljudi z namenom, da ugotovijo, ali so genetske lastnosti za hitrost in vzdržljivost med vrhunskimi atleti tiste, ki določajo, da bodo posamezni ljudje lahko postali vrhunski atleti. Najprej so ugotovili, da imajo vrhunski sprinterji boljšo genetiko na področju hitrosti in eksplozivnosti, kot jo imajo vzdržljivostni športniki. Vse lepo in prav, to smo že vedeli. Potem pa so primerjali vrhunske sprinterje z običajnimi ljudmi in ugotovili, da jih ima kar 68 od teh, od 500, to je 14%, boljši genetski ustroj, kar se hitrosti tiče, kot prej omenjeni sprinterji. Kaj boste rekli? Ampak šok, ki je bil še večji, je sledil. Ko pa so primerjali vzdržljivostne komponente genetskega ustroja vrhunskih dolgoprogašev z vrhunskimi sprinterji, so pa slednji paste zdaj imeli na tem področju precej boljšo genetiko. Ali po domače rečeno, kot da bi Usain Bolt imel boljšo genetiko za maraton kot Eliud Kipchoge. Nore ugotovitve, jasno nore, ki vsekakor prožijo izjemni interes za nadaljnje raziskave na tem področju. Vsi vemo namreč, da sicer brez prave genetike v vrhunske ali po športu nasploh ne gre, ampak očitno leta še zdaleč ni tista, ali pa celo zadostna, ki bi predefinirala bodoče olimpijske prvake. Torej, še je upanje za vse, tudi za tiste tam zunaj, ki menite, da nimate genetike za tek nasploh, imate pa lahko za to kaj drugega in to je lahko več kot dovolj, da začnete. Konec leta se bliža, počasi zmanjkuje tudi virtualnih dirk, ampak vseeno lahko še vedno prispevate svoj del, recimo k 100 ob mrzli reki. Lukas Kočaj, ki sem ga pretekli vikend omenil, da bo tekel 100 v 10 urah na stezi, za virtualni projekt 100 v mrzli reki, je projekt uspešno zaključil in to ne v 10 urah, pač pa krepko po 9 urami. Tako da bravo, Luka! Še vedno lahko prispevate na 1919.5 pošljete in vaš prispevek gre v sklad za mlade športnike Vipavske doline. Virtualni projekt za konec leta pripravlja tudi Mitja Krevs o izzivu 30.37 pa več v naslednji oddaji. Torej, dame in gospodje, pokličmo zdaj mojega tokratnega gosta, je precej več kot samo tekač. Pripravil sem se dan svojimi sandali, za Luna sandali, ki jih izdeluje prav on. On je pionir bosonogega teka, ki mu je dodal življenjsko filozofijo. Eden glavnih akterjev v knjigi Rojeni za tek, Born to Run, je prvi, ki je pretekel maraton in 100 mil v Five Fingersih, je kreator in predsednik družbe Luna Sandals, promotor enokolesnega električnega vozila Solovil, filozof in neverjetno energičen, inspirativen otrok kalifornijske obale. Spoštovani in spoštovane, z mano je moj bosonogi idol Barefoot Ted.
Back on our past history, and you wrote me for the first, or I wrote to you for the first time, I think in maybe 2008?
It was late 2008 or maybe early 2009, just or around the time I did get a copy of this book on the Amazon in English. I devoured it, of course. I read it instantly, and then looking for a barefoot solution in the internet, found your Barefoot Ted adventures page, and I ordered my first pair material for my first pair of huaraches.
That's right. I went and did some research on that, and I looked back, and I was like, and I actually found where we first, even before that, we had interacted, and I want to find that. Where the hell did it go? All right, here it is. A couple different times, but one in particular was, there's your purchase receipt. I found one that was like really cool. It was you writing to the group that I was part of, okay?
Oh, okay.
So this is you writing in 2008, August 2008, and you write to the Running Barefoot, 5 fingers, what do you think? Okay.
Okay.
This is so August 4th, 2008. And in that dialogue, I write to you. in, within this group. So this is the first time, I'm sure. I'm writing to you Tuesday, August 5th, 2008. Howdy, Mark.
Howdy.
And I told you about, I trained in 5 fingers for several months leading up to my first barefoot road 100K. And then I end by telling you, these days I've been running a lot in my own custom-made huarache sandals, the same kind that the greatest, about the runners in Tarahumara. And I say, I think I like my own sandals better than 5 fingers. They are closer to barefoot and feeling toes, feet are air-cooled, and I like to call them portable ground. So it was like, I was writing to you in 2008 already, and then we had some steady ongoing interactions from there. So you're the kind of person that you find the answer. You look and you find it.
And after 12 years, I found you right now, right here in the crazy year of 2020, right?
Perfect. It's a perfect reintroduction to our lives. And I look forward to, interacting with you on this. So thank you so much for inviting me. Let's turn this into something positive.
Definitely.
I'm going to try to bring a little light into the conversation as far as lightness of being. Get people feeling a little bit better.
So, Barefoot Ted McDonald, great to see you again. Welcome to our show. It's 12 years, I think, that we first contacted you, Seth, and 7 years and a half that we see each other in Prague, in Czech Republic, on that great event. How are things right now? You are now in Santa Barbara or in Seattle?
Okay, right now, so thank you, Marco. It's totally awesome, Mark, to see you.
Thanks.
It's been a crazy year, but I'll tell you one thing endurance running taught me was, and then, which I now, these days, I'm really into trying to apply what I learned through my athleticism to my life. And one of the things that a 100-mile race teaches you is how to pace yourself, how to remember that even in the darkest hour, things are going to improve. Remember that each moment is important and that you need to be taking care of yourself all the time, thinking about analyzing, monitoring yourself, and keeping a good attitude so that you can keep moving so you can get to the goal. And 2020 has really tested all of these skills in the real world for me and my company. But I have to say, if you train both your body and your mind to not break down when confronted with obstacles, obstacles can become a new thrilling opportunity to do something better, to do something more, climb a higher mountain, ride a bigger wave. And all this 2020 has been very hard on many levels for me and my business and the world and everything else. But instead of it being automatically a death sentence or an end to something, it becomes a spark that teaches you to see the new and better way, or to enact, to do the thing that you were putting off. But don't focus on the negative. If you're in the middle of a 100-mile race and you're at mile 50 and you have 50 miles to go, I used to say this, 100-mile race is like living a whole lifetime in a day, and 100 miles is 100 years. And I used to say like this, you better feel good at 50 if you want to make it to 100. You better not be, dragging one leg, and, you better be looking pretty good at 50 if you want to make it to 100. And when you get to 100, you want to be able to say, okay, that was good. Thank you. And now you have a whole lifetime of experience. But it's all about behavior in the moment, staying there, being focused, and monitoring and making sure you get into this flow state. And you've built up some inertia in your life by daily practicing taking care of yourself, such that now the big wave becomes a big opportunity for you to do something more spectacular, more awesome, more epical, and stretch all of our imaginations further so that we realize that limitations are mostly in the mind. And fear is there too. And so is optimism, and so is cleverness. And so that, yeah, 2020 has been tough, yo. So I'm telling people, develop that lifetime strategy that is teaching you all the time that obstacles and hardships are things to train and do better. And in the end, personal responsibility. If you want to do something valuable for society, take care of yourself, yo. Become a happy, contributing, productive member of society by taking care of yourself first, so that we don't have to waste a ton of money and time on you because you're sick and because you're not taking care of yourself. Take care of yourself. That's the duty. And no one needs to tell you to do that other than yourself. No one else can do it for you. So 2020, I am living in currently I have a tent. We have I could walk you through the factory. It's not that big, but it's behind us. And we're getting ready to move from Seattle to Wenatchee, which is in the eastern part of Washington State. Mm-hmm. Seattle is basically, they closed the city, kind of.
Lockdown.
You know, the Gates Foundation is right. Like, I can throw a rock and hit it from here. So it's like they're taking care of everything as best they can, but it took the spirit out of the city currently. And Seattle's not a great place for sandal making. I mean, it's where I started my business. It's not the best place in the world. I love it. Seattle's a great city, but I live in Santa Barbara now. Santa Barbara is more like Slovenia. You know, maybe you've got the sea, you've got lakes, it's a beautiful country. It's a beautiful part of the country in California.
Indeed.
Seattle's not the greatest sandal culture, right? I mean, yes, we have great summers,
but
we were trying to build that culture, you know, and it's fine, but we're a worldwide brand. So we're moving to the Eastern Washington, and we also have now Japan's a big place for Luna sandals. That's been one of the most popular countries outside of the US, one of the most popular.
That's interesting. And how come that Japan was such a big sandals enthusiast?
Well, it's a great question. It's like this. First of all, Japanese culture doesn't have any problem with understanding that a healthy foot is something useful and good. Mm-hmm. You have martial arts, you have samurai, you have farm, you have foot culture, including sandals and footwear, that's always been not trying to change the foot to be something else, but always was looking for a functional, practical foot. If you're a samurai or if you're a farmer, you don't want a fucked up foot. If you're, so they've had a better footwear culture and understanding of the feet culture for a long time. So it was natural for them. And then also they love cool stuff that's made authentically by people who like making it. They have this kind of craft aesthetic. And then they're not shocked by sandals. You know, it's like, and then finally Japan, along with our own, they were making it impossible for us to make enough sandals. And ultimately, 2019, we realized we had our best year ever, but we were losing money because we couldn't produce, and we were losing market because we can't. Seattle's not the best place to try to scale our business. So through Japan, it's awesome. So our Japanese distributor is very good. He's a young businessman doing very well. He also grew the brand Ultra in Japan and was one of their best distributors. Mm-hmm. He made a relationship with a third generation Japanese footwear manufacturing family. Now, Japanese are about quality. They love quality. They love well-made things. And I became friends with this guy, and he helped us when we found out that we can't make, we're doing better than ever and we're losing money. It's crazy. He helped us with a Japanese operated factory in Vietnam. Mm-hmm. Now, Vietnam, with Japanese know-how So you've got people who, this is a great job. You've got other people who know how to manage the process for quality. You've got people all over Asia who know how to get the materials you need for the different things, all in the same area, all by people freely choosing, all freely choosing. These are all relationships among individuals. And bing, bang, boom, we finally have a way of of scaling our business. So 2020 has been about, even before 2020 hit, I was already in a very big struggle to try to somehow pull all this energy of all these stories and all these products and all these people into a finer laser focused beam. And then, on top of that, have 2020 disrupt everything. It's been so interesting. And ultimately, and this is back to the surfing analogy. It's been paddling. But now I feel I'm in the wave. The wave is coming, and now I'm in it. And it's like when you're in the wave, in that state, that flow state, it's balance, it's motion, but it's exhilarating. It's not tiring. It's sort of like, and that's where you want it. In my running, that's another thing I train every day, of getting in that state whereby you can imagine being there forever. I mean, why not? If you could be instantaneously, anytime you want to, in that state of mind where everything is connecting and flowing and moving well, and it's not too much and it's not too little, why wouldn't you stay there all the time? That's the message. And apply that to your life.
So everything started, if I remember correctly, when you had an urge to run a marathon at the age of 40. And when you started running in shoes that didn't work, you threw away the shoes and have the epiphanal moment, right? Realizing that you're onto something.
That's exactly right. Now, so yeah, it was a time where when I was 20, I had seen a famous politician's son run a marathon and he was 40 years old. And I thought, oh my God, somebody 40 can run a marathon? How is that possible? Just this idea of the limit, really those constructs in people's minds of the limitations of what humans can do. It was just natural to assume no one at 40 years old, because I had tried to run a little bit longer, and I found that the feeling of, I felt like I was getting beat up. So I thought, those people how can they take so much abuse? That was the thinking. But what I ended up discovering was, and this is my message really, is the way to getting to somewhere that you thought was unimaginable before, like a marathon. The way you're going to get there is not by learning how to abuse yourself more or suffer longer, at least not for me. I wanted to find the way, if it was going to be attractive to me, it was going to make me feel better, stronger, good. So when I realized that for me in particular, now keep in mind, I grew up in California, surf and skate culture. I was barefoot all the time. Mm-hmm. When I was going to school, different shirts have like an alligator or this or that. My shirts had on here had 2 golden bear feet. It was a California brand called Hang 10.
Hang 10.
So so bare feet was not unusual for my youth. I did everything barefooted, normal. So when I started realizing my feet are hurting, and then I thought, and I did some research on the internet. This is the benefit of free information, right? And it was like, oh, there are other people doing this. Oh, yada yada, reading, and then going and trying it, and realizing instantaneous. It was like a fish being thrown back into the water. In other words, I didn't have to rehabilitate my feet first. My feet were dying, waiting, ready. I just needed to understand the concept and the mechanics of it a little bit, which I didn't understand, because like everyone else, I thought the way you run is you land on your heel. You know, I was just like extrapolating, and then I would try to go and do the running. I thought, oh, maybe barefoot would be better. Like I was thinking before I learned the technique, maybe barefoot would be better. I would try it, and then I would think, no, that doesn't feel right. You know, running like I had been running in shoes. But when I started getting the concept that it need not feel like heavy and hurting, but rather it would become a little bit more like jumping rope. It would become springier or a little bit lighter. And I had already known that from experience as a kid. Once I stepped back into it, it was like, oh my God. And then, you know, so my dream of doing a marathon, it became easy, really, ultimately. But then I got a little bit, you know, now I had this new toy, this new old toy, the barefoot itself. And it was like, wow, what can it do? Where can we go? And that's where I kind of, you know, followed the lead. And that's why I was down in the canyons. I was building my understanding of this human capacity called running. And I was interested, what are the boundaries of that? What can we do with that? And so I have never stopped in this experimentation, but I'm no longer, I mean, I still will do the longer races, but for me, it's really the lessons we learn in doing those epic things, applying it to the daily life. And then with running, I'm looking for what's the least amount that gives the most, you know, like dosage. Like, you know, sure, you can have 5 of these, but if a half of them did the same good, you know, it's kind of like, you know, it's like, or better yet, I like the idea of how about instead running, if you have a beautiful Ferrari, you can put bad fuel in it and drive it a lot, but that's not going to make it better. It might be better to put great fuel in it and drive it well so that you get the performance out of it and it stays beautiful. You know, you pick or choose. So
your famous quote is, we are not broken by default, right? So your best technology or the best shoes that you ever possess were your feet, right? The best shoes that you ever run with or in.
Yeah, okay. So, you know, that's a very, you know, what I wanted to say there was people should not, if you are born into a human body and you have a great opportunity because you've been given a gift that is one of the most complex and incredible creatures in the universe that we know about. And the stories seem to show that this body we've been given has a history right here on this planet living here. And some of our ancestors have used this body to, one of the first things they learned how to use it with is to use it as a vehicle. And they mastered the use of the human body as a vehicle on this planet in this world. So, and one of the things they learned how to do with this vehicle was to hunt in something called a persistence hunt. It's a very smart, you know, to do persistence hunting, you need a really great tool so you can drive yourself, move around an environment very, very efficiently. So you need a really good tool to do that. Then you need a really high-powered computer to be able to process information while you're moving around by doing something no other animal does, looking at and analyzing footprints and making decisions about what those footprints on the ground mean. No other animal uses that strategy. It takes a lot of brain power to look at footprints and know and to read those and understand that that means this, that, or the other. Then you needed to be able to strategize with that high-powered computer and your feet. You needed to strategize how to keep this system in a nice position so that it can continue to move following an animal, like in this case, I'll give you a link. There's a link to a video. A guy, he runs down an 800-pound kudu. It's a big antelope. And look how clever. He gets the animal, he scares it, it runs. It's the middle of the day. He's got some water. He knows how to run. He's strategizing. He's not just running like a machine. He runs strategically. And he slowly runs this animal in a circle. The animal comes back closer to the village. 2 to 4 hours later, the animal is dying from exhaustion.
But
his village has a month worth of food for 30 people. 2 to 4 hours, 18 to 32 miles later. That is a good skill, amigo. That is a good skill.
But we all, even though we are all human and evolved like humans in the last, 200,000 years, but we've forgotten all of that. So it took you many years to again master the barefoot technique, the mindfulness, the presence while running, right?
That's right. Yeah. Well, that's been so one of the things I like to say about, all of this, it's self-experimentation it's another one of our, let's say, inherited gifts, because naturally, every human body is a little bit different than every other one too. So it's not like everyone can do everything the same as everyone else. Everyone needs to, on some level, come to a better understanding of their own body. And what I meant ultimately about you're not broken by default means you should not automatically assume that the body that you've been given is not capable of being extremely healthy by simply learning how to allow it to do what it naturally does, move in certain ways, it has a strength in moving very well, in eating certain things and maybe not eating whatever, like that. But ultimately, each human being is so unique in and of themselves, in a sense. Ultimately, the brain connected to the body, connected to the foot, connected to the stomach, connected to the personal history, that brain experimenting on itself is most likely to find the most enjoyable, healthy way to live possible. No expert can do that for you. You can get ideas from other people's stories, sharing what they've learned, and we can all share and get insights into what's best. But we all have different needs, different goals, different histories. The basic premise, though, is that the solution is not by adding more immediately, but rather learning how to see if you can operate the body in its default state first, because I believe by learning how to move well, for example, in your bare feet, you begin to tap into how to tune the body, how to actually, by learning how to feel what it's like to move well, the best way to tune something is to get the clearest signal. And if you can get the clear signal and tune into that, then you'll know where to, then when you don't have as clear as, let's say you do, like by the way, in that first email I ever wrote you, I ended by telling you about, I'm creating I have something better that I think than 5 fingers. And I ended by saying, portable ground.
Yeah, I remember.
And it turns out, and then I also often say about our company, we're like surfers making surfboards. What I mean by that is it's connecting to the default state. We are, as human beings, we're also extraordinarily clever at being able to solve problems about our environment, but not by changing ourselves, but by adapting the environment or ourselves. And sandals have been this tool, this very basic early tool that simply took this great vehicle we have and added some portable ground, meaning they didn't change. You don't change it. You don't have to. You're not adapting to the tool. The tool is adapting to you. And so we stay in, so for me, running and sandals are about, and sometimes thicker, sometimes thinner. I like to say, like surfers making surfboards. It depends on what kind of waves you want to ride or how you feel that day. You can, so having different sandals, thin ones, thick ones, or barefoot, I train all kinds of different ways. Constantly mixing it up and playing around gives you all this. It turns it into a joy. And just like a surfboard is a platform, I see sandals as just platforms that you go and do epical things on. Sometimes it's little waves, sometimes it's big waves. And they're all fun, and they're all good for you. They're all fun, and they're all good for you, which means it's a lifetime joy. A lifetime joy. Let's have a lifetime joy.
Let's. Huaraches on the cover, right? This huaraches.
Oh, nice!
Yeah, these huaraches are the first huaraches that I still run.
My gosh, that's amazing! That's amazing.
11 years old huaraches and still almost like new. I don't know, maybe.
Oh, was that the cherry? That's the old,
Vibram cherry 4 millimeters.
Yeah.
It's not even, I don't know, scratched with, I don't know, a dozen marathons and about several ultras with this.
That sandal started a little revolution, didn't it? That sandal started a revolution.
Yeah, this was the sandal.
And now we're just still playing the game. Now I'm just like, I'm still in that wave. And now that way, in other words, that sandal launched my whole company and many other companies, right? And it's, I think mostly, I think it's great. I think it's fabulous that this book, Born to Run, has been so inspiring for so many people. The one thing that I'm wanting to, as the character Barefoot Ted, is I just am really trying to continue on the same message we're talking about now. It's the same message, trying to get people inspired about this new opportunity they have to experiment on themselves. They don't need anybody. They can do it themselves. And the goal being, I want to do something good for society. Okay, great. Learn how to take care of yourself. You're the only one who can do it. No one else can do it for you. You don't need to pay drug companies or doctors or anybody else. You can experiment on yourself. And guess what? You can instantaneously know the value of your experiments. Are they good? Are they bad? And you will instantaneously have the freedom to change your experiment anytime you'd like and find something new. And Barefoot Ted says, please do that. And if you want to try some footwear that has this philosophy behind it, Luna sandals is a great one to look at too. That's kind of my message. That's my message.
Everything started with this book. McDougall said, Chris McDougall, the author of this book, said in one interview that the main theme of this mega bestseller should be that running is a skill and that skill should be need to be learned by everybody. But after the chapter 25, which started Barefoot Ted, was right, of course, everything get much, much bigger. So now, not just running is a skill, but much more. Evolution is there, Tarahumara is there, philosophy is there. So everything started with this, and you became a superhero with this, only with this sentence in the book.
That is, a couple things. So, running it's a skill. That's the benefit. So one of the things that happens is that when we say running is a skill, that means it is very useful to, when you want to start doing your own investigating, you also need to find people who have been there before you. That's a benefit. You can save a lot of time. If you don't have the time, you don't want to go through all the, if you find somebody who has gone on the path and they've personally experimented on themselves, they've found the answer, and now they are willing to give you tips to help you. This is the benefit of, this is why we have coaches. This is why we have teachers. This is why sure, you can learn the guitar if we put you in a cave with no light and just a guitar and come back a year or two later and say, you'll probably come up with something. But if you were in the light and had a teacher 2 years later, and you really wanted to, you'd probably be able to play something nice. And I think some of these skills, some of us got so disconnected from our bodies. See, I was lucky, like I said, growing up barefoot, growing up in Southern California, I didn't need to be, it was the opposite. They were, put on shoes, it was the opposite.
Like with kids right now, yeah.
But so many people who maybe are, reach in their 30s or 40s, think, I want to be healthy, but I don't know how. Well, now, because of this book, Born to Run, people have got inspired for running, but then other aspects of their life, eating, other things, experimenting on all of those and seeing what happens. Please do that. That's your freedom. Please do that. Get yourself healthy. And then you will find that that's your best contribution to society. Get yourself healthy. You can't do much more. You can't. I mean, if you do that, if you're a happy and healthy person, and running is one of the tools that'll help you get that way, if you do it intelligently, then you have just done us, all of society, such a big favor. Because if individuals were doing their best to make themselves happy and healthy, all these other, unnecessary problems would be unnecessary. We wouldn't, anyway. That's my theory.
Many runners, when I told them I would have the legendary Barefoot Ted on my show, they asked me, you must ask Barefoot Ted about the fundamental principles of barefoot running. I said, everybody knows that, but no, they said, we want to hear it from Barefoot Ted.
Okay, so, got it. I guess the first principle, I mean, it's kind of, there's philosophical elements to it, but the first principle really is getting convinced that indeed what we're talking about this default state and this potentiality, understanding this is a reality, and understanding this is a real human potential, and understanding this is a real human skill, that if we do it right, we can greatly benefit it. In other words, it's almost like getting inducted into the philosophy is accepting the reasoning that that's the case. If that's the case, then we can proceed. And it turns out the way I would answer that question today ends up being an incredible story that I want to write or tell, and I'm going to tell maybe kind of on your right now, is there's an American philosopher, doctor, that I discovered, named J. William Lloyd.
J. William Lloyd, okay.
J. William Lloyd. And in the 1890s, after many years of studying about health, and he came to the realization that running is he says it like this: with running, you have the very best exercise for a human being that requires no apparatus, no tools, basically, and no assistance. So with running, and then he goes on to explain very clearly why running is so good. And what he means by running is really, between not too far, not a lot, but every day, hygienically, even a mile, 2 miles. But in the way you're running is in this state that it's basically what I've been practicing now. I discovered him about 10 years ago. And now I'm an expert on him. He's a very interesting American writer, thinker. He kind of got lost in time. But when I found this essay, it was like, it corresponded very well with my own philosophy. And so it became extraordinarily intriguing. And it's one of the joys of my life is rediscovering this guy and applying in my own life what I learned from him. And other people have seen the same thing. But running it does so many things so well. So and by the way, he barefoot, or he says barefoot is best, as everybody knows. But if not barefoot, low cut, lightweight shoes and yada like this. And even sandals he talks about. It's a long story. But let's look at running and just your daily get it. So many things are good for you. You learn how to move your body in a flow state. You get it. You get that feeling of that movement. It's like a bird flying. You want to spend some time there. It's not just constantly, if you have a goal, that's another thing. I'm talking right now about running as hygienics, running as a way of building vitality and inertia in your body so that you're becoming healthier and stronger by doing this. And it's not just your body, it's also your mind and so forth. So you're learning how to move your body well. You're breathing. You're learning how to breathe well. And I do a lot of my running with nose breathing. I want to keep the intensity at a level where I can, and you're oxygenating your blood, and you're getting you're sweating, you're helping your body clean itself. You're on and on. You're breathing fresh air. You're seeing beautiful things. You're out in the world. And so it's so fucking simple. It's so simple. It's so good. Please do that. Please do that. And then finally, the new thing that Lloyd didn't know, but this feeling that you get from running like that is that euphoria. They call it the runner's high, right? You've heard of it. And now we know it's not just an endorphin. Endorphins are endogenously made in the body morphine. But that's not where the euphoria is coming. And that's where Dr. Lieberman told me before a talk. He said, Barefoot Ted, Google endocannabinoid. He said he has a friend doing research on, and I did. Endogenously created cannabinoids. Yes. When you run, human beings, wolves, other animals that need to run are getting this reward. It makes you feel positive. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel light. Let me tell you, folks. Yeah. Please get yourself healthy. It's easy. Just get out every day and move a little bit, breathing the air, and so on. So the second thing when it comes to running barefoot is evaluate where you are in barefooting as if it were a language. In other words, barefooting is a complex skill. Just like speaking a language, it's a complex skill. Any human being can do it, but you can't do it if you never heard it, or you never saw it, or you never felt it. So some people can evaluate their level of barefooting skill before they start by deciding what does my history tell me about me? When I was a kid, was I barefoot? Do I do barefoot when I'm yoga? What is my skill set now? So that you can properly step your way into barefooting intelligently. Because you can't, back in the day, some people would read Born to Run, they think, oh, take off my shoes. Oh, it's like, well, it depends. So where are you in pre-existing skill? So you have to do that. And then based on that, the third thing would be learning how to move so that you feel in your body as if you are becoming lighter. And what that means is this. Imagine the best way to learn this skill is to try learning how to jump rope on a hard surface in your bare feet. So you have your bare feet and you have a jump rope. Now, are you going to jump rope like in your bare feet on a hard surface? Is this what you'll do? Watch. I don't think so.
No.
What's going to be ideal? You're going to find that place. And some people, I used to think everybody knew this, but some people need to even discover that simple thing where you get, what I'm talking about when you get into a jump rope.
Springy, jumpy,
That's simple. Learning how to feel that in your body and do that is the beginning of understanding that running is human flight. It's learning how to, with less and less energy, go farther and farther, trying to find that perfect balance. And all of the skills in life, and running in particular, is about finding that fine-tuned balance, which is always changing a little bit because the environment's changing, you're changing. So that's why there is no expert that can do it for you. You got to be there to do it. You got to be the surfer on the surfboard in the wave. The surfboard can't do it. You throw a surfboard in a wave, it just nothing. So you got to be there, mindfully aware and learning from your experience how to do it better. The good news is when you do it well, the results are instantaneous and obvious. You don't, when you're balanced and do it, you don't need somebody like an expert to say, yep, you're balanced now. Good job. Like, no. You find out how to be there. You learn how to stay there. If you're a teacher or if you have a good personality to be able to share what you discovered, you go and find a way to help other people see the value of that so that they will literally and should spend money if they want to, if they can, to improve themselves. And the value is lifetime.
Great lessons. You taught some of them in 2013 when we met in Prague on Barefoot Run and grand opening of the Barefoot shoes store at Daniel and Luna sandals there that day. It's still 7 years and working like new. You signed my book with your
Oh yeah, that was awesome, dude. Yeah.
And I met there some barefoot guys from Switzerland, from Germany, and then 3 years after that, they invited me to go with them to Copper Canyons. In 2016, we should go to Copper Canyons at the 10th anniversary of the first famous ultra race in Eureka. So I was so excited, but the event was subsequently canceled because of some unrest there. And then after that, we didn't again plan that and we didn't go. So, but you are a regular guest down there in Copper Canyons, right?
Absolutely. I will go again in March. I plan on it. I don't know what the world's going to be doing, but I'm going to try to get down there. Yeah, it's, in 2015, there was a little bit of a disruption, but now the event, so that's an interesting story. And many people from Europe have come over, and I think more need to come in the future. It's better now than ever. Because a couple things have happened. One of the big problems in the canyons was they used to grow poppies and marijuana, the drug cartels, because it's in the middle of nowhere. But now nobody wants the poppy. Now they make a stronger drug in Tijuana called fentanyl, so they don't need poppies anymore. And now marijuana is legal, so they don't grow marijuana. So the bad guys have left.
Okay, that's great news.
There's not as much, and the bad guys don't care about foreigners. They just hate other bad guys. It's bad guys fighting bad guys. It's gangs. And it's the problem back then. And the problem with that is they don't want any problems with foreigners because that's a big problem for them. They want to get their bad guys. But when bad guys are fighting and you're in the middle, well, not good.
Too bad for you.
Too bad for you. So, but I've been going down there almost every year. And now last year they started a few new events in October, which is even a better time of the year. Even a better time of the year to be there. I had never been there So February, March is when the Caballo Blanco Ultra Marathon happens.
Yeah.
And now that's it's a huge celebration. And not just for foreigners, but for the whole Mexicans too, from all over Mexico, because of the book Born to Run. So that little region, when I first went there, it was extremely depressed and depressing. There was poverty. There was true hunger. You know, Manuel Luna came to the United States because people were starving. There was no real economy except the drug cartels. It was a mess. And the Indians, the natives, the Tarahumara, were not respected. They were the bottom of the barrel. They were the last people to kick.
Yeah.
The book Born to Run and the events and other things began to give a respect and an honor to the Tarahumara, because people began to understand they had a value for they were valuable. They were a valuable cultural asset. And so the canyons have become, the future of the canyons and of the Tarahumara is more, let's say, ecotourism, or tourism where people are just coming to have an experience and not to change people to become, or to, and then allow the community to host people who are coming to share an experience. It's a great kind of economy. It's a great thing that's happened down there. So I look forward to seeing more people from Europe come on over when they can, in the future. But there's no danger in the sense of you are going to be a victim of violence. It's very, very, of course, anything can happen anywhere, but it's not like, it's not, as the book makes it seem much more dangerous, because at that time it was more dangerous because of these wars between fighting drugs. But those guys are slowly going out of business. They're done. They had their era. That era is coming to an end. The new era in the canyons is more ecotourism, races, events, visiting, trying great foods, seeing cultural things. It's awesome. And it's so beautiful there. It's more beautiful. It's larger and bigger than the Grand Canyon in the United States. So and now there's all kinds of, there are places I had never been before. Last year, for the first time, I went to certain places because, I've always been going straight to the race, doing that, and then coming home. And I was like, oh my God, man, this is amazing. So yeah, let's see. I want to see more Europeans down in the canyons in the future. And I especially want to see you down there. You need to find a way. It's safe. Don't worry.
It's one of the things on my to-do list, on my bucket list. Definitely, I have to go to Copper Canyons to meet Barefoot Ted and Manuel Luna, who was your inspiration, the man who inspires so many. Barefoot Ted has its own inspiration with Manuel Luna.
Yeah, there he is in the background right there.
Yeah, I see him. He's still running, right? He's still participating.
Yeah, he's 1 year older than me. And that's, by the way, that's going to be an interesting topic. I know you had Dean on.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Congratulations. That was awesome.
Thanks.
And, I know Dean. He contacted me. I've known him all my time in the running. And we worked together. I wrote a story for a book he helped create called Chicken Soup for the Soul. Running for Good. I wrote a story in there called The Roots of Barefoot Ted. You should read that. It's pretty good.
I ordered it for this Christmas. I think I will get it sometimes next week. So cool. I will get back to you.
You'll like that story. And then anyway. But I'm on so since the book Born to Run, ultra marathoning became the thing, and marathoning and all that. And what and I love that part of it, because I think it's really good for people to learn how to use something so simple, their own body, to push the boundaries, what's possible. But I also want to reintegrate the concept of balance and of playing with dosage. More isn't always better. Just remember, it's like more of medicine, of anything good, whatever. You want to find the perfect amount. But most importantly, outside of your time, distance, and athletic is this daily hygienic lifestyle that's going to make you healthy and happy, and you're going to be able to apply that to your daily life. You kind of need both. Sometimes these events, these are incredibly great. They inspire us to push our boundaries so that we can find out what we can do. I think it's fabulous. But that's not what, the big wave surfer doesn't ride big waves every day. It's too hard. But he develops him or herself so that if the big waves come, they're ready to enjoy them. They're ready to.
Great, awesome stuff, Ted. You're such an inspirational guy. I have so many questions for you, actually, and I told Clement I will not need so many questions, because when Ted starts to talk, he can talk hours and hours, and just great things come out of his mouth. So I stumbled upon an article in Runner's World. You said just before, more is not always better. It was article titled, if you are new to maximalist shoes, start with minimal mileage. Your body needs time to adjust to all extra cushioning. What you say about this crazy notion?
Well, look, one thing I'm going to say is like this. Everybody, back to the self-experimentation. Anything that'll get people to do something is better than them to do nothing. I do think it's kind of absurd that, in other words, that same argument should basically that's my argument without the shoe.
Yeah.
They flipped it. They flipped it. But in the end, they have to flip it because they're a business about selling shoes, right? I mean, that's one of their. And so, it wouldn't make much sense for Runner's World or any magazine, really, to say, hey, you don't need anything. Nothing at all. Just take off all your clothes and walk in the sun and everything's going to be perfect. No, and that won't work. So I think some of these maximalist shoes, if they were not overly constructed, i.e., if they weren't forcing the foot into some terrible shape with some giant arch. In other words, if it was a zero drop, more or less, shoe without much of a toe lift and all the rest, and it was super lightweight and it wasn't too cushiony, then you almost got that portable ground thing going. The problem is shoes are so much more than just portable ground, often. They're constricting, they're shaping, they're forcing your foot into other things. And on top of it, like they just said, they have to be warned so that because the reality is, and that's what I was saying early on, maybe those shoes would be great for somebody. But I guarantee you, they would first have to know how to feel what it feels like to move well and be already, because and that goes back to the jump rope thing. Imagine that you could jump rope and land on your heels. In other words, you had a surface that allowed you to do that. Well, the problem would be is that you would be developing a structure and a style that would be okay as long as there was this padding. But as soon as you took the padding away or it went down and you continued to try to do that same style and you were kind of forced to, or you in your mind thought, well, I'm going to do what I can. Well, so tune the body first, then you can do anything you want. Not the opposite, and Dr. Lieberman, what he found there, this is what's really interesting. Here's a little important tidbit. Lieberman had runners with shoes running on a treadmill and measuring the intensity of their landing and the positioning of their landing. So they're running on a treadmill and where are their feet landing. When people wear shoes, the variability is huge. Some people are landing here, some people, they're all over the place. When he takes the shoes off, the variability reduces into a sweet spot. And that's the area where in other words, if you want to tune your body to understand how to move well, you don't start by having less information that's causing you to be way completely. You want to tune it, and you want to first learn the fundamentals. You want to know that. And then when you know that, then you can experiment from there. And then footwear, and like sandals. All our sandals are 0 drop. They have nothing shaping your foot, but some are thicker, some are thinner, some have more grip. These are just tools. But ultimately, the philosophy is down to the simple, you're in this area, you're not all over the place. And then when you load the body and you've learned how to load it in such a way that when it's without anything, it's already cushioned, then you're on the right track.
Great, awesome stuff. I know you ran in 5 fingers a lot. You were probably the first person to run 100 miles in 5 fingers. Did you ever try Vivo barefoot shoes?
Yeah, matter of fact, and I've been knowing about Vivo from way early. Yeah. Galahad is and he. Even before, they had a company called Terra Plana.
Yes, of course, yeah.
And
everything.
Yeah, and so Vivo Barefoot is making, they made a commitment to make footwear that did not disgrace the foot. In other words, they made footwear that is made for human feet.
Yes.
And I think wearing footwear like that, in your daily life, as opposed to all the crap. So much footwear is just crap. It literally is like eating junk food.
Of course.
Or worse, it's eating poison. Sometimes, maybe the ladies want to wear but the concept is if your foot's not comfortable and it's being shaped into something that it doesn't want to be, you're not doing yourself any favor. And Vivo Barefoot, the philosophy of that company is 100% accurate. They understand and they care. And so it's wonderful. They've created a high quality brand that has a worldwide market. And I'm a support. Naturally, I almost never wear shoes.
No, you just wear Luna sandals, right, and barefoot.
Yeah. But I'm more, I am. So I want to tell you something though. I am fascinated with Japanese footwear.
Okay.
Particularly tabi.
Yeah, tabi shoes.
And and the company that's I'm working with in Vietnam, the Japanese company, they also have a history of making tabi. And remember I was saying like surfers making surfboards? Some Japanese tabi manufacturers, they have learned some really cool nuances to getting things to fit and feel right. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure in the future, I had a tabi booty for the Luna sandals. And in the future, I want to do more of that. But I'm pretty sure one way or another, we will have some cool tabi type footwear in the future. I mean, we're not going to be we're not going to have 1,000 different styles, but I'm telling you, tabi, I've been experimenting with them. I have this newest pair that I'm testing right now. There's some, so when they're making a shoe, it's called the last, the thing that they put the shoe around.
Okay.
Japanese tabi history has developed some really good lasts, so that the flexion of the foot is really good. So it's kind of like a cross between, 5 fingers and Vivo Barefoot. It's somewhere in the middle.
So this is the future of Luna sandals and Barefoot Ted adventures. Right?
That's right. And also because we can make sandals, we can make scale in Vietnam now, high quality. We can start reaching out to some of our markets in the world and start supplying more consistently. And actually, we can make money doing it instead of lose money. Oh my God. So embarrassing. So embarrassing. You know, last year ever. Great. Oh, we lost money. Oh my God. So embarrassing.
So you are a successful businessman and a happy human being. How do you find balance with that, with business in one side and your personal happiness on the other?
Well, you know, we were talking about trying to running as this daily practice, right? So that we get a little bit of, you know, so all great things start with little daily habits of getting, you know, and, you know, days, what a wonderful, you know, when you think about it, the universe is quite fascinating. The concept of a day is so great because it's almost like you're never done. You know, each day is a new opportunity to refine and refine our skills, to follow new insights, to solve new problems. So, you know, I think that attitude, by living that way regularly, by learning how to live each day well, balanced, it ends up making it so that that's the way to go. In other words, all this balance concept and flow state, I'm not joking. I'm not just saying it because it sounds good. I'm saying it because it's true.
It's true.
And but just like everything else, you're also like surfing. Sometimes you're going to crash. You need to have the resiliency inside your body through practice daily to overcome. So when you have the resiliency by practicing, then you recover more quickly from your accidents, from your falls, from your setbacks. You can recover because the inertia comes back. You know, you've got all this inertia in your body, in your system. And that's also how I was training for Leadville last year. I did Leadville again after a long time.
Wow.
Yeah. And what I did is, but I didn't train too hard. I just kept and I kind of, you know, of course I started picking it up, but I realized it's the inertia. Of course, it's experience and skill. There's some skills to running an ultra marathon, and you know, experience is helpful. But it's also this inertia. So build up the inertia in your daily life. Start today. Start today. Each day, a new opportunity.
Ladies and gentlemen, start today. I remember from Prague vividly, it was you gliding through streets above ground in fluid flow and motion. I even have a photo in my book of you gliding above the ground. It was solo wheel. I didn't know about that contraption, that wheel under your body, but it was great invention, and you were a promoter and even seller of this high-tech moving machine, right?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, man. That was so awesome because at that time I was living in Seattle.
Okay.
And this city is it's quite hilly, and then there's like, so going north and south is really easy, but east and west is very hard. Bicycles are hard, right? It's just a very hilly city. And so getting around in it can be tough because it's traffic and all that. And then I was in Istanbul in 2012, and I saw this on a little island where no cars are allowed. And I saw this guy go by. I thought, what the hell is that? And then I found out it was a solo wheel, and it was from Washington State, where I was from. So I was like, oh my gosh, you know, this is the magical thing. So I started using that. I became friends with the inventor. I really did. It became very, very useful. And I developed a little culture here in Seattle around it because those of us who could do it suddenly had this new superpower. I mean, commuting in this city was amazing. And then there was the whole sport of it. Now it's like way more sophisticated. They're getting faster and stronger and everything. And I'm not in the business of it at this time, but I am very, very intrigued by electric vehicles and by electric skateboards and skateboards. You know, I had the world record for skateboard for distance in 24 hours back in the day. 389 kilometers in 24 hours. Now, awesome many stuff. People have gone over 300 miles, but I'm back into skateboarding now too, back in Santa Barbara, which is perfect, Santa Barbara. And I'm starting to realize I think I'm going to get into electric skateboards a little bit too, because they're incredibly interesting. These interesting vehicles are both recreational and incredibly efficient ways to get around towns. And I want to come and visit you next year.
Yeah, welcome. You can sleep in my couch.
Tell me why I should come. What can I see? What are some of the highlights of my trip if I come
in Slovenia?
Yeah. Slovenian people, good people, or they have
Slovenian people are the best people.
Good culture.
Yeah,
good culture.
We have everything in so small space. We have mountains, we have lakes and the sea.
How about food? Sell me on the food. What do you got?
We have our traditional food is let's say pork meat, a cabbage, a lot of potato, of course. Indians are heavy drinkers, of course, because we also are the wine country. We produce a lot of beer and spirits.
It sounds like Santa Barbara.
Yes.
I hope to visit you guys sometime certainly in the future. I'm going to stop by because my wife is from Istanbul, so it's not too far away.
Just before we wrap up, I have here a new book from Christopher McDougall, Running with Sherman.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Great, awesome book.
Yeah.
Did you ever try to run with a donkey, like a burro race or something like that?
You know, I am very intrigued by this concept, and I went and visited Chris in 2017-16. And I went with him on a run with it, but he was wanting to train it. He was worried. They kind of can have their own personality. They kind of don't like. And my dream, I wanted to get it to pull me on the solo wheel. You know, I was like, and anyway, but I have no experience yet in racing with them. But I'm hoping that I will get a chance. It sounds pretty fun.
You are very welcome in Slovenia. Please, we will stay in touch. You just tell me when you will have the next trip to Europe and we will meet. So
absolutely. I think that's going to happen. I got to come in. I have to check out this magical land.
Yes, you have to. Yeah, I will show you some secret spots, and we will go running in the mountains with in Luna Sandals, of course.
Perfect.
Of course. So, Barefoot Ted, you are such a great inspirational talker. I would talk with you still hours and hours, but you are a busy man. You are now living in your factory, making your own shoes with your own hands. That's also an inspirational. Barefoot Ted, thank you very much for your time, my man, dude. It was awesome. So stay healthy, stay productive, stay charismatic as you are. I hope we talk soon and we drink a beer together soon. And Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, of course.
Woohoo!
Awesome. Great. Woohoo! Tole je bilo noro, spoštovani, spoštovane. Barefoot Ted je človek, ki bi dejansko lahko govoril še uro, 2 ali 3. Spoznal sem ga v živo. Rabite samo iskrico, da ga zanetite in človek zagovori. Fantastičen gost, fantastičen pogovor. Jaz bom šel v sandalih, v Luna sandalih, horačih, ali pa danes ali jutri vteč kakšen kilometer ali 5 od njih v čast temu pogovoru in odličnim idejam, ki jih je dal, odličnim istočnicam, odlični filozofiji, ki jo širi. Spoštovani in spoštovane, če imate kakšno vprašanje o bosonogem teku, o sandalih nasploh, o teku nasploh, prosim, javite mi. Tudi jaz sem par stvari na to temo naštudiral. Če bo vprašanje res zanimivo, ga pošljem Tedu, s katerim bova zdaj naprej bolj redno v stikih. Tako da ostanite tudi vi zdravi, pošljite mi še kakšno idejo, naročite se na kanal, šerajte, lajkajte, rad vas imam. Slišimo se, vidimo se naslednji teden, do takrat pa ostanite zagreti za tek. Srečno, čau!